So, a problem that we have, I think, today, and it's a major problem for especially middle class and the lower classes, and even the rich class as well. Um, it goes into it, but I think it affects the middle class the most, as well as the lower class, and that's student loan debt. To me, I think that student loan debt is something that if that kid wants to go to college and get a degree, get a good job in life, then I think he ought to do that. But I think the student loan debt and the amount of money it costs to go to college now is a big turnoff for most people. I feel like as a society, hurt our kids. We hurt ourselves because we don't look at the aspects of, maybe this kid doesn't have it, but his parents work. Um, but he can't pay to go to school, so, if he don't get a scholarship, then there's no way of him going to school. He's going to go directly into the workforce. And I feel those kids are the ones that are hindered. They're held back a little bit when we tell them, hey, it's this much to go to college. You're paying this much. This is your scholarship. A solution, I think, to this problem, I think we need to kind of do like the military does. And a lot of now health in healthcare, anything with pre-med, pre-veterinarian, pre-dental, pre-optometry. Pretty much now they will say, if you go through optometry school, dental school, whatever it may be, if you go through medical school, if you come back to this area and you work at this hospital for 10 years, then we'll pay your student loans off. Or as long as you're working here, we're paying towards your student loans. And I feel like that's something good for our community. It's good for our areas. It helps bring in people to our area, helps bring people back to our area that may have not have stayed if they didn't offer that. I know for me, with my parents working in healthcare and the school system as well, we have a lot of people, healthcare, that come in, they get their student loans paid for, so they decide to stay and work, and they finish out their careers here because they fall in love with the communities and the areas. And I think that's something that we need to do for our own people here, not just those away from here. I think we need to do it for our own people and help those. I think that each community, whether it be anything, should start helping funds, doing rallies, anything to get money for our local area students in their areas as well. And even nationally we can do that. I think we need to set up something to where, the FAFSA was a little bit different. I know for me, I get no federal aid. And that's something that's big for me, but that I knew I had to get other scholarships through the school on top of my academics. So I was lucky enough to get an athletic scholarship that helped pay for my college. And people say, oh, well, you're an athlete. Athletes struggle as well in college. Not every athlete is a full-paid athlete. It goes based on what they feel you need based on your academic standards. And I think this is something that we need to look at. Maybe a kid's parents or school teachers, or they work in a job where they're making minimum wage. But that kid wants to go to school to be a doctor, but he doesn't have the money to pay for his degrees. That kid could be something major one day, but we may never know that because he never got to go to college because he couldn't pay for it, or he never was able to finish his degree because he had too many student loans and he didn't want any more. He couldn't pay them. I think something that we do is I don't know. It's really tough on students, but it's tough on the parents as well because over years it gains interest. So you're actually ending up paying more than you actually thought. Some people, when they get out into the workforce and you start living, you've got kids, you've got a family to support, you're keeping up stuff around the house, you're with other family members. It becomes rough. It's a really rough society to learn. And I think something that the solution to that problem is go ahead and give the student loans. Go ahead and do that if you want. But I think what we need to do is after so many years of them working with you or working with a company and saying, if you stay here for 25 years, then we'll pay your student loans for 25 years. Whatever you've got left, we'll pay off when you retire. If you're able to retire after 25 years. And I think that's a something that would allow more people to go to college. It would get more people interested in college, and you would get more interest into your community and people giving back to your community, and not leaving areas to go to a rural area like we are here in Eastern Kentucky. That they come from Washington. I know we've got them for New York, or we've got them from New Mexico. They come in and they work, and they're put 5-10 years in at the hospitals as doctors, and they leave because their student loans are paid for. And I think if we do this for our own area, our doctors, our optometrists, everybody that's in our area that leaves and goes elsewhere, or goes to maybe Lexington, Louisville, I think we need to do that here as our area. And I believe we can really get an interest into college. We get more students interested. We get more students that are in the workforce, more people helping to bring revenue to our community. More businesses can hire. We can do bigger jobs, bring in more shopping centers, anything. Maybe somebody that went on to college for a business degree could come up. They come up with a new shopping center. They come up with a new store. If they went to college, or if they didn't go to college, maybe they never thought about that. Sitting in that classroom one day listening to the professor talk. Maybe somebody comes up with a new ideal for a cure for an injury or terminally ill disease. But they got that from sitting in a classroom of listening and then the research. I think today that we need to, as a society, as one country, I think we need to have a national debt for our student loans forgiven for everyone. If you work to me and you give back to your community, you're paying your student loans as you can. I think we ought to get some help. And I think if we can do that, we're going to help our own students. We're going to help our nation because we're going to be able to bring more revenue into our country, into our communities, which is more money for the government. So I think as a whole, we kind of need to do as the military does. You put so many years back of service, your student loans are forgiven. I feel like every job, it's hard, no matter what you do. It's something you got to get up every day. You're worried of what's going on. Am I doing something right? Am I following everything right? I believe if we put in our time, then our student loans should be forgiven. Or, say that a hospital will choose to pay for half of it and you have to pay the other half. Anything that we can do in our community to help have less burden on our community members, our workers, I think is going to be something that's great for our community that we could help. Our nation, that we could help as well.